Good evening, wonderful people, great Biafrans, wherever you are on this very planet Earth that Chukwukika created for the habitation of man, where we are born and where we shall all die. I welcome each and every one of you to this very evening, exceptionally special broadcast. The time now is 5 minutes past 7 p.m. in the glorious land of Biafra, where the blood of ikonso have watered the ground for the tree of freedom to germinate and to take root. I say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to some of you. Regardless of where you are, a lot of people are listening to us this evening across various platforms. I mean, very many people are listening right across this very planet Earth. It is a very sobering day for each and every, in fact, for a couple of days now, I would say, since the enemies decided to cowardly attack somebody sleeping in his father's compound. As I ask you to join this broadcast this evening, morning, noon, or night, depending on where you are, I will also encourage you to ask those who are around you to endeavor to tune in to be part of this very special broadcast. We are live on this very day, the 25th of April, in the year of our Most High Elohim 2021. So if you're listening to me right now, if you're hearing my voice, this is a live presentation going out to the entirety of humanity. It's a very sad day, I must tell you. A very sad day indeed. But I'm sure that the angels in heaven will be rejoicing because ikonso is with them. My name is nnamdi Kanu. I am the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, the largest mass movement of its kind anywhere in the world. I am the director of Radio Biafra and Biafra Television. And by the very special grace of the Most High Elohim, a servant of the wonderful people of Biafra. I have never, ever felt this bad before, not even when my parents passed. That is why there will be vengeance. And I'm going to pray to the Most High this evening, as we always do. Chineke nna nke pụrụ m ihe niile, mma mma dịrị gị Chineke. Nke ọma ma anyị ekele gị, nke ọjọọ ma anyị ekele gị, onye dị nsọ ma ruo mgbe ebighị ebi. Nara mkpụrụ obi ikonso na udo. Ma anyị onwe anyị bụ ndị dị ndụ ikikere, mere anyị amara gị, gbaa anyị ume, ma anyị mma aghaghị nna nke bere, ka ha rabụ ndị niile tinyere aka n'ọdịdị ikonso onye ime eluigwe, ị ga-abara anyị ọbọ n'isi ndị dị etu a n'otu n'otu, agbanyeghị ihe ga-esi n'ime ya wee pụta. Eluigwe ga-ada, ọ ga-ada, n'ihi na ị bụ Chineke nna. Anyị na-arịọ gị ezi ebube dị ngọzi, na ikonso ga-akọwara gị ihe ọhụrụ tupu o malite ije nke ọ ga-anaghị esi na ya wee chigata azụ ọzọ. Anyị onwe anyị bụ ndị ọ hapụrụ, ndị dị ndụ ga-ahụ Biafra n'ihi ọnwụ ikonso nwụrụ n'aka ndị iro m. Anyị wee na-arịọ gị ezi ebube dị ngọzi, ka ịhụnanya gị niile, amara gị na ọmịiko gị, ka iwe were ya wee kasie anyị onwe anyị obi n'ụzọ pụrụ iche, n'ihi na o were anyị anya na ọ bụ naanị gị bụ onye na-eweta, ọ bụ naanị gị na-ewere nna nke igwe. Ndụ anyị niile gị na ọ batara aka. Anyị wee na-arịọ gị ka ọnwụ a niile nke anyị na-anwụ hapụ ịbụ nke efu, n'ihi na ọkụ n'ozi dịnyere anyị ka anyị na-aga, n'ihi na ikpetamazụ Biafra ga-abịa. Ndị ọjọọ niile a ga-ekpe ha ikpe. Anyị agaghị echigha azụ. Ọ bụrụ uche obi gị na anyị niile ga-anwụsị, anyị anwụọ n'ihi njem nke anyị na-aga. Ya kwanụ mmasị gị, onye kere eluigwe maka elu ụwa, na anyị ga-anọ ndụ wee hụ Biafra. Anyị ga-anọ ndụ wee hụ Biafra n'ezie. Anyị wee na-asị mma mma dịrị gị Chineke nna, otuto dịrị gị onye ime eluigwe. Anyị na-akpọ isi ala nye gị ọka aka onye ọbụla anyị ya na-achị. Na otuto na nsọpụrụ na ije mma site n'ebighị ebi ma ruo n'ebighị ebi. Ise ise ise. We are gathered here that this very gospel that is irrepressible may be preached to the hearing of the whole of mankind, that at the appointed time in the future that no blame may befall us, because the rage that we feel cannot be quantified, it cannot be measured. We lost ikonso at the hands of cowards, wretched, idiotic cowards who cannot fight a good fight. They did not engage him in the battlefield as they have been lying, because in the battlefield, ikonso is more than 1 million men. The same people that could not invade the camp of terrorist Fulani traders in Enugu, that when the governor of Enugu State came to confront them, a sitting governor in the land of Biafra was chased away by AK-47 wielding Fulani terrorists in Enugu town. But they went to the home of somebody, ambushed him in his house where he was sleeping, and decided to assassinate him. A man that is defending his land. A man that was defending our mama, our Idemili, from the ravages and excesses of Fulani terrorists and state-sponsored terrorism. Now we understand the reason why they installed somebody like Hope Uzodimma. What they were planning to do, this Fulani Janjaweed, is to make sure that they circle us with very weak and idiotic leadership, so that we can be fighting this war on two fronts at the same time. On one hand, we are fighting Fulani terrorists and killers, and on the other hand, we are fighting governors who are hell-bent on killing us for fighting those that have come to kill us, which doesn't really make any sense to anyone. But that is what these governors are doing. They have come to hand over our land to their Fulani masters. That is what they are doing. Anybody following any of these foolish people is an enemy of the people. I must make that categorically clear for everyone to understand. If you're a follower of any of these governors, you are an enemy of the people. Ikonso was not killed during any shootout or confrontation. Ikonso was killed in his village, in his kindred, in the middle of the night, not on the battlefield. Because on the battlefield, there is no way any detachment of any army or any police or any idiot can defeat him in battle. He was undefeatable. He drove the Fulani people away from Imo State, did gallantly well. Ever since ESN was launched, I have not come across anybody or a group of people telling me that their lives hasn't improved as a result of the presence of ESN in our land. We no longer have rampant roadblocks as we used to have. People can now go to farm, not minding the two isolated Dave Umahi-sponsored Fulani attacks on our people in Ebonyi State. I am asking the Southeast governors and every other fool in the zoo, why was it there was no hoo-ha about Fulani people chasing the governor of Enugu State away inside Enugu City with AK-47 assault rifles? It only merited a glancing mention in the zoo newspapers. Nobody talked about it in any great detail nor depth. In our own land, Fulani are armed to the teeth. The army and the police are supporting them. Every blessed day they are being supported by these people. Therefore, we must fight this very fight. And we are going to mourn Ikonso in a very special way. Very, very special. You know, in those days when, let's say, for instance, the Oba of Benin dies, for instance, I'm giving you an example that is more universal so people can understand what I'm saying. As soon as the Oba is dead, headhunters will go into the forest and the Oba will be buried with heads of people. Ikonso is more than an Oba. And we are going to mourn him in a very special way. We are going to bury Ikonso in a very, very special way that history will remember 2021. History will remember 2021, the year that the enemies of Biafra came into our land using our own people to kill a defender of his people. Ikonso was attacked in his village. Hope Uzodinma and his Fulani masters cowardly and wretchedly killed a man who was unarmed. His fight was against Fulani terrorism in our land, and they killed him because he refused an offer made to him by the same Hope Uzodinma. As if fortuitously, a few broadcasts back, if I'm not mistaken, I mentioned this very fact, that Hope Uzodinma approached Ikonso, our commander in Imo State, offered him money, a lot of money, and asked him to switch to Ebubago. Ikonso is a gallant Biafran. He said no, that he will not do it. Some of you can go to my last broadcast, if I'm not mistaken, I mentioned it. And that is a clear, unequivocal vindication of Ikonso. These are men that fought for their land without receiving one dime in payment. He was the head of a volunteer army under oath to defend the land of Biafra. And these cowards wretchedly and idiotically in the middle of the night, as cowards always do, to sneak up on him. They said it's a combined team of police, army, and DSS. And as I said earlier, Ikonso will be buried in a very special way, I show you. Not even the burial of the Oba of Benin will be as remarkable as his own burial, I assure you. Those in the know will understand what I'm saying. As if I knew, and heaven put words in my mouth to alert the whole world to what Hope Uzodinma had intended. You know, we are Biafrans. It's about time that the whole world hear about us once again in a very special way. Our detractors and our enemies have brought death to us. And we are not going to fold our arms and just watch them pick up our people from car parks and motor parks and highways and all the rest of it. All of you who are, should I say, conduits and vehicle for Fulani Janjaweedism in our land, I have nothing to say to you. But that thunder you have called down from heaven is about to strike. You know, people sometimes they say to me, oh, don't say what you're going to do. And I said to them, they are very foolish. I tell you what we're going to do, and then we will do it. So when it starts happening, you know it's coming from us. So you will know. I mentioned the Ikonso during my last broadcast, and that is a clear vindication of that very brave soldier. I understand that a band of very hungry Nigerian journalists have been trotting out the narrative of their Fulani masters that there was a shootout. There was no shootout. Absolutely none. He was killed in his house. He was killed where he was sleeping in the middle of the night, having subdued Fulani terrorists in Imo State. He subdued them. And Mieti Allah sent their houseboy, Hope Uzodinma, who hastily arranged for a few they call them security operatives, to come to kill a child of heaven. Before I came live on air, I sent out a tweet that the whole world may know. And it's a quote by Richelle E. Goodrich. And I repeat, to the hearing of the world this evening from where I am. Vengeance is a monster of appetite, forever bloodthirsty and never filled. I repeat, vengeance is a monster of appetite, forever bloodthirsty and never filled. Ikonso is in heaven, and he is going to be avenged. My God, he will. Shall avenge him. Everybody with a hand in the death of Ikonso are all dead people walking. All of them bar none. Because of Ikonso, what is happening today in Ekiti State is not happening in Imo State. And I'll read it because I read a comment by somebody who said it's only the southwest that is now in a bit safe. That the north is on fire and the east is raging. But I want to remind all of these people what is happening in Yoruba land that they do not know. Because of the ikonso Eastern Security Network, what they are doing on the ground in Biafra land, this type of news emanating from Ekiti State cannot be written about Imo State, where he commanded men and confronted terrorists. I'll read for you. This was published by Guardian newspaper. For those of us who are in the habit of underestimating the sacrifice that we are making every blessed day to keep their land safe and secure, I want to let our people understand all over the world, those who are listening, that because of the likes of Ikonso, this type of news is not being written about Imo State. It is about Ekiti State. And I'll read it for you. We can no longer go to farms. Farmers cry out in Ekiti State. Guardian newspaper publication. Farmers in Ekiti State have raised concern over their inability to go to farms due to attacks and destruction of crops by herdsmen. Is this being written about Imo State? Do you know the reason why you're not hearing this type of news in Imo State? It is because of Ikonso and his gallant men under his command in Imo State. That is why what Fulani people are doing today to Yoruba people in Ekiti State cannot happen anywhere in the East. Impossible, it cannot happen. They understand it very well. And for you to put into proper context the bravery, the gallantry of these men in ESN, they are fighting 3 enemies at the same time. 3. And no army can even fight 2 enemies at the same time and survive. They are fighting 3 enemies and they succeeded in the objective. As I gave them, do not allow any Fulani terrorist activity in Imo State. It did not happen. They are fighting Fulani terrorists. They are fighting Nigerian army, which is essentially Fulani terrorists in army uniform. That's all they are. They are fighting also the police. In fact, I should say 4. And they are fighting the Fulefus in our land. Hope Uzodinma and co. We did not go after Hope Uzodinma. We were only facing the enemy in front of us. Fulani terrorists masquerading as headsmen. And today, nobody can say, unlike before, that there are Fulani headsmen attack anywhere in Imo State. Is not possible. Because of the bravery and gallantry of all these men. All of you, or some, not all of you, some of the Fulefus, those in Ohaneze, and the idiotic governors that we have. The reason why your state is not like Ekiti State is because of Eastern Security Network. Because it is here. A traditional ruler, the Alajowa of Ijowa, Ekiti, Oba Emmanuel Omopariola, during a meeting with the National Agricultural Land Development Authority, NALDA, lamented that insecurity was one of the major problems facing farmers in the community. Are you hearing such a thing about Imo State? Or Anambra? Or Abia? All these things are things of the past. In Ebonyi, we defeated Mietiala and they went home. Umahi is now begging them to go home, that they can come back in the future when the coast is clear. Now, do you understand? So you want your fathers and your mothers who go to the farm to go and farm to be like those farmers in Ekiti State, or to be like farmers or have the same experience they were having, should I say, or they had a few years ago when Fulani were all over, should I say Fulani terrorists were all over the place. All of you have forgotten. You have all forgotten. And today, somebody who brought out himself to defend his land was killed for doing so. What Hope Uzodinma was seeking to achieve, Hope Uzodinma and all the idiots in Haneze and Atron and Dushi, what they want to do is to fight Eastern Security Network to pave the way for Fulani terrorists to come in and take over our land. That's what they're trying to do. Some of you are too idiotic. Some of you are very, very idiotic. But in the end, we shall see. Those of them that try to tie our campaign to rid Fulani terrorists from our land, those of you who are mischievously trying to tie it to our agitation for freedom, I have news for you. It was Britain that gave independence, United Kingdom now, that gave independence in peace, I would say, to a couple of black people that they assembled together and named Nigerians. Then, as now, nnamdi agitated. Obafemi Awolowo agitated for freedom. They are both from the south of the zoo called Nigeria. They asked for the same thing that we're asking for now. The only difference is that they were asking it from white people and we are asking it from black people. These are the things that we are making absolutely and abundantly clear this evening, morning, noon, or night, depending on where you are. We asked for the same thing that Azikiwe asked for the same thing that Awolowo asked for at the hands of white people. Self-determination. The white man gave it to them without a fight, without calling them, of course, in the beginning, they saw Zeke as a terrorist. It goes with the territory. Had Azikiwe and Awolowo decided to go to war with the British, do you think they would have won? I'm sure the answer is no. Had Britain chosen to remain in Nigeria in perpetuity, can anybody stop them? Of course, we know the answer to that. As somebody quite rightly commented, that is the problem with black people. This patent evil that is within us. What we are asking for from the East is no different from what the nationalists asked for from the white man before the granting of independence. So what they are saying for those who support the extrajudicial execution of people. So had the United Kingdom, of course they had the power then, had Britain then, had they decided, if, should I say, they decided then to kill every person in the zoo they created and named Nigeria, what do you think will become of you today? That is why I maintain that black people do not reason properly. I have said that from day one. And I maintain it. The same thing we are asking for today from black people, fellow black people, so to speak, were exactly the same things that black people asked for from a white man, and it was given to them without mass, or should I say massive bloodshed, or the mass killing of people. That is the difference between white people and black people. I keep saying this all the time. But Judgment Day is coming. Judgment Day is coming. They know how stubborn we are. They know we are not going to go back not one inch. They understand that. Until this freedom is given to us via a referendum, should they, of course, become amenable to this very sensible idea that the people must determine for themselves where they wish to belong to. And I must say this evening, as I've always said in the past, that people are suffering, people are dying. There is a very concerted effort to distort the truth and always change the narrative to suit the line that the government wants to trot out all the time. And the people who are accomplices to this reign of evil in Nigeria is their media houses. The media houses in Nigeria is a very big shame, I must tell you this. They were reporting that ikonso died after a firefight with the army and police joint patrol. Nobody told them. They never investigated to ask the police or the army. They did not go to his house to go and kill him where he was sleeping. Where was the firefight? With who? And that is why everybody who is a frontline commander in ESN must be very, very careful. They will go to your village and they will bribe your villagers. They will give them money. As was the case with ikonso. Just tell us anytime you see him. That was all they did. The idiots called somebody, a special senior assistant to Uzodimma, to say that, yeah, ikonso is in the village. He came to Awo. And they sent the army and the police to kill him. Some people collected money to betray his location because he came to his father's house into his village that he has been fighting to protect against the ravages and excesses of Fulani Janjaweedism and terrorism. There he was betrayed in his father's compound, in his own land. These cowards came. Cowards they are. For only one man, with everything they had with them. And that is why there will be no forgiveness. Some of us understand exactly what the Nigerian government is trying to use Nigerian newspapers to do. And I must warn once again Yoruba journalists. They are the problem. I want to ask Yoruba agitators for freedom to warn their journalists. Yoruba journalists they are evil, beyond evil. People are suffering and dying today in Nigeria because of Yoruba journalism. Evil brand of journalism. And because of that, I want to remind them what is happening in Ekiti State in Yoruba land today. Because of the evil that is Yoruba journalism in channels, television, in Punch, in all these newspapers. Up to and including even Vanguard, even Sun newspaper. You journalists are evil people. Evil, even worse than politicians. You always toe the line of the government. Lying and deceiving people. And because you are lying and deceiving people, that is why today in Ekiti State in Yoruba land, people cannot go to farm. You are in Abuja lying. defending the line being trotted out by Lai Mohammed. You are in Lagos, you're writing junk, proscribed, outlawed. In Ekiti State, they are outlawing your people in Ekiti State. Nigerian journalists are defending the Fulani. They are part and parcel of this effort to destroy indigenous populations. And as these Yoruba evil journalists are writing their junk every day in channels, television, in all these useless media houses, Ekiti State is being taken over by Fulani terrorists as punishment for your lies and your deception. Yoruba freedom fighters must rise up now to deal with their journalists because they are evil. They were instrumental in killing the NSAS protest. Yoruba journalism, evil, tribalistic, and wicked journalism they practice in Yoruba land. Evil beyond evil. They will only promote you if you are one of their own. Very parochial. Even worse than Fulani. Even worse than Fulani in Asorok. Yoruba journalism will kill all of you. They lure you into a sense of security, telling you about 2023. Maybe Tinubu will go. It's our turn. Meanwhile, in Ekiti State, the Fulanis have taken over your land in Ekiti. Some of you are refugees in Benin Republic. You know me, I speak the truth, always, regardless of the consequences. We are warning them to change from their evil ways. Yoruba journalism is responsible for the decay in the governance that people are experiencing in Nigeria. All these, not just Yoruba, I think all of them. If they can take brown envelope from Satan, believe you me, they will write about the holiness of Satan. Gutter journalism. Channels, news, television carry the headline. They did not say suspected. They said IPOB, their sources, that IPOB attacked the home of Hope Uzodinma. Sources. Anytime it comes to IPOB, Yoruba journalists will not use the word alleged or suspected. They jump in straight. It's either ESN or it's IPOB. And they think they are doing it in order to spite us. That's what they're doing. That's what they're thinking. But they don't know that they are sacrificing their own land and their own people. Look at Ekiti State. The same thing you did in the past and you lost a lot and you have not learned anything. Yoruba journalists can never learn anything. The same idiotic mentality was the reason why you lost a lot into Fulani Caliphate. You are carrying on from where your ancestors left off, from Ilorin, Afonja. You have just simply carried on. Your spiteful, vindictive nature is the reason why Fulani terrorists are in Ekiti State, making it impossible for you to go to the farm. But the ikonso that you're writing about so disparagingly, because of ikonso, there is no Fulani terrorist headsman in Imo State, where he comes from. But you from Ekiti in Abuja and in Lagos are writing rubbish against a child of God. Fulani are taking over your land, but you will never learn. Because that propensity inside you, that drive to be parochial, to be very tribalistic, to be evil, can never leave you. That defines who you are. You can never rise above this your pettiness to try to be objective for once, especially the idiots in channels television We have those fools as well in BBC, but don't get me wrong. But sometimes I don't even know BBC one channels which one is worse. They cannot go and ask the police, where did you find the ikonso? Where was he? When you killed him, where did you meet him? They are there, somebody will write and say, there was a shootout. They want to sound big. There was a shootout. If you play